There was a time when nobody wanted this car. Not collectors, not dealers, not even the people who originally bought it. It sat in used car lots for months. Dust gathered on the paint. Price tags kept dropping. And some owners were so embarrassed by it, they traded it away for almost nothing. Because back then, it was seen as a mistake. An American car that arrived at the wrong time, with the wrong image, and a future nobody could see. And yet today, the exact same car can stop people in their tracks. At auctions, collectors now chase it. Private buyers quietly compete for it. And some pristine examples now sell for prices that would have sounded completely insane just a few decades ago. Because somehow, the American car nobody wanted became priceless. That car was the 1963 Studebaker Avanti, and its story is far stranger than most people realize. To understand why this car was ignored, you have to understand what America looked like when it arrived. In the early 1960s, American cars were big. Long bodies, heavy chrome, massive tail fins. Manufacturers believed bigger meant better. Years. A car was supposed to feel large, powerful, comfortable. It was supposed to make a statement. And then Studebaker did something almost nobody expected. Instead of building another oversized cruiser, they created something completely different. Low, sleek, futuristic, almost shocking. The Avanti didn't look like an ordinary American car. It looked like it came from another decade. The nose had no traditional grille. The body lines were smooth and clean. The roofline looked almost European, and from some angles, it barely looked American at all. That should have made it a sensation, but instead, it made buyers nervous, because people often say they want something new until something truly new appears. And when the Avanti first reached showrooms, many people simply didn't know what to make of it. Some thought it looked too strange, some thought it looked too expensive, and others believed it came from the wrong company. Because that was another problem. Studebaker was already struggling. The company had once been respected, but by the 1960s, its future looked uncertain. And many buyers were afraid. Afraid that buying a Studebaker meant buying a car from a company that might not survive. That fear mattered. Because no matter how beautiful a car is, people hesitate when they don't trust the brand behind it. And that hesitation hurt the Avanti immediately. But the real tragedy was this. The car was actually ahead of its time. Far ahead. The Avanti wasn't just unusual to look at. It introduced ideas many competitors had not fully embraced yet. It had one of the cleanest aerodynamic shapes of its era. It used lightweight fiberglass body panels. It offered front disc brakes before many American rivals. And in supercharged form, it became genuinely fast. In fact, when performance versions were tested, the Avanti shocked people. Some versions could approach 170 miles per hour. For the early 1960s, that was astonishing, especially for a car people dismissed as odd. Suddenly, the same car that looked too strange was becoming one of the fastest American production cars in the world. And for a brief moment, it looked like Studebaker might have created a miracle. But then everything began to fall apart. Production problems delayed deliveries. Quality issues slowed momentum. And dealers started losing confidence. Because creating a beautiful car is one thing, building enough of them properly is another. Customers who wanted one often had to wait. And in the car business, waiting can kill excitement fast. The longer buyers waited, the easier it became for them to walk away. And many did. Some bought something safer. Some bought something more familiar. And some simply forgot about the Avanti entirely. By the time the public fully understood what the car was, it was already too late. Studebaker's financial problems were getting worse, and soon, the company began collapsing. That changed everything. Because once a manufacturer disappears, the cars it leaves behind can take one of two paths. They become forgotten, or they become legendary. For years, the Avanti looked like it would be forgotten. Used examples sold cheap, very cheap. Some owners treated them like disposable old cars. Some were neglected, some were modified badly, and some simply disappeared, because nobody believed they would ever matter. And that may be the most surprising part of this story, because the reason the Avanti became valuable later was the same reason nobody wanted it at first. It was different, painfully different. And time has a strange way of changing how people see different. What once feels awkward can later feel visionary. What once feels strange can later feel beautiful. And what once feels unwanted can become impossible to replace. That is exactly what happened. As the years passed, collectors began looking again, not because of nostalgia alone, because they started realizing something. The Avanti had been misunderstood. It was never just a failed car. It was a bold car. A car that tried to do something most companies were too afraid to attempt. And once that realization spread, the market changed. Slowly at first, then suddenly. Prices started climbing. Restored examples began appearing at auctions. Collectors who once ignored them started competing for them. And the same car that once sat unwanted in dusty corners started drawing crowds. Because people finally saw what had always been there. Not just rarity, not just design, but courage. The courage to build something completely different, even when the world might reject it. That is why the Avanti matters. Not because it sold in huge numbers, because it didn't. Not because it saved its company, because it couldn't. But because it proved something. Sometimes the cars that fail in their own time become the cars everyone wishes they had kept. And maybe that is what makes the Avanti so fascinating now. It represents more than a collectible. It represents missed vision. A moment when America almost had something extraordinary, but didn't fully understand it until decades later. Today, finding a clean original Avanti is not easy. Finding the right one can take years. And when serious collectors find one, they know exactly what they are seeing. They are not just seeing an old car. They are seeing a machine that was too far ahead of its time. A car that people once laughed at. A car that dealers struggled to sell. A car that almost vanished. And somehow that became the very reason people wanted now. Because in the collector world, the rarest thing is not speed. It is not luxury. It is not even beauty. The rarest thing is a car that history almost erased, and the Avanti came closer than most. Simple.